To another edition of Bible Time. This is the Tuesday on the road edition, and again we're in Southern California in a nice little park setting here, and we're talking today, according to the Believers Fellowship Daily Bible Reading, 1 Kings chapters 15 and 16. And you're going to read about a lot of kings in these two chapters today. 7 in the northern kingdom, all of whom are wicked and getting worse until you get to Ahab, who is the worst of the worst. And then 2 in the southern kingdom, Abijam, who's not so good, and then Asa, who is a good king, who does walk in the ways of the Lord and does bring about some reform. He deals with idolatry, but he also is negligent in some areas, and when we get to 2 Chronicles and read the account there, you'll see it more clearly. But at least Asa did some good, brought about some reform. And what you're seeing here is the ongoing story, the ongoing lesson to the exiles who are reading the history of how they wound up in exile about the serious consequences of compromise. But you're also learning about how God is faithful to his word. In chapter 15, verse 4, where Abijam is getting rebuked, it says that God remembers the covenant that he made with David. So the consequences weren't as bad as they could have been, maybe should have been, because of God's faithfulness to his covenant. And then also later in chapter 15, verse 29, when you see about the family of Jeroboam all being killed, that was done according to the word of the Lord. You remember the prophet had said that that was what would happen. And then later on in chapter 16, Baasha, all of his family gets killed. Again, according to the word of the Lord, according to the prophecy that was brought regarding him. So God is working according to his word. And at the end of chapter 16, you read about the rebuilding of Jericho. And the guy who rebuilt it, he did so at the cost of his oldest son and his youngest son, which again is according to the word of the Lord, the prophecy that was given way back in Joshua chapter 6. And so there's a great takeaway. There's consequences to compromise, but on the other hand, God is proving himself. He's not compromising. He's being faithful. And what you see is that nothing's happening in a random kind of way. It's all happening according to God's plan, according to God's word. God's in control. He's working out his purposes. He's even using evil people to accomplish his purposes, and it's still doing that today. And so what should we do? Not compromise. We should trust him. Trust his word, trust his promises, live according to his word. Let's call today, let's trust God Tuesday. Trusting God Tuesday. That's a good thing for us to remember here on Bible Time on the Road. And we'll come back to you tomorrow with even more Bible Time.